nature's tranquilizer. And the reason why it's called that is it helps to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. So we understand that in our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, we've got these two branches and these two arms. One's linked to the stress side of things and one is linked to the parasympathetic and when we're relaxed. So if magnesium helps to activate the parasympathetic arm of this nervous system, it's why it's called commonly nature's tranquilizer. So if you often find you're feeling a bit uptight, signs of anxiety, it may be a very simple way of saying, you know, you just might need more magnesium. Is commonly linked to muscle function and muscle contraction. When muscles are getting really tight and they're not relaxing enough, I usually say, yeah, that's very often a sign of not having enough magnesium in the body. So it works synergistically with calcium, and whereas calcium helps muscles to contract, magnesium is involved in the muscle relaxation. And there's lots of signs that muscles can be tight and constricted in the body, and therefore it can be a sign that yes, there's plenty of calcium, but there's just not enough magnesium to support the relaxation. And so the symptoms that can be very much linked to having too much calcium, maybe not enough magnesium, things like constipation, you know, the things that are helping the stools move through the bowels, is this peristaltic motion. It's this constriction and this relaxation that moves everything right from the top right to the bottom. So constipation can be a sign of a lack of magnesium because the muscles are getting constricted and tight and there's not enough magnesium to relax them and helping this peristaltic motion. So constipation can be linked to a lack of magnesium. Magnesium can help with constipation. It can be linked to headaches, you know, if everything's getting really tight, muscular contraction in the head. Restless legs can be a sign of a lack of magnesium, and even asthma. Now, of course, asthma is not just to do with magnesium, but you know, there can be a constriction of the airways that can make asthma and the symptoms of asthma more pronounced. So having more magnesium in the body can help with asthma. So constipation, headaches, restless legs, any sort of cramping in the body can all be a sign of a lack of magnesium. Now, what about energy? Are you feeling tired? You're lacking energy generally, just feeling more fatigued than you used to be? Magnesium is really important in the conversion of glucose from our food into creating energy, ATP. That's in the sort of powerhouses, the battery packs in our cells, these mitochondria, where energy is created, converting not just glucose, but amino acids from proteins and fatty acids into this creation of ATP energy. Really important. Magnesium is a very important part of that process, along with other nutrients as well. So very important that we need to have sufficient magnesium to create energy from our food like glucose. Now, blood sugar regulation. I talk a lot about the importance of keeping blood sugar balanced in the body and the symptoms of energy dips during the day, shakiness, inability to cope with stress, maybe poor concentration. These can all be signs of blood sugar levels dipping throughout the day. And poor blood sugar regulation can be linked to a lack of magnesium. It's needed for the magnesium is needed for the utilization of glucose in cells, and is also required for the insulin regulation. Of course, insulin is the hormone that takes glucose from the blood and takes it and helps to get it up and utilized in our cells. So, you know, magnesium is important for blood sugar regulation. And so those signs of that sort of shakiness and tiredness and energy dips during the day, maybe the early signs of poor blood sugar regulation. But, you know, don't ignore those signs, because the long-term signs of having poor blood sugar regulation can lead to poor insulin resistance, and of course long-term could be diabetes. So don't ignore those early signs. Now, hormone regulation and female hormone regulation and PMS symptoms can be linked to magnesium. It can be a lifesaver for our monthly cycle. You know, if you're experiencing cramping and mood swings and irritability before your monthly cycle, yes, this can be linked to magnesium. And magnesium is needed for the production of hormones like estrogen and progesterone. And I do like to recommend magnesium alongside things like B6 to help with PMS symptoms, particularly if they're quite pronounced for women going through the monthly cycle. And what about sleep? Now, I mentioned about blood sugar imbalances, and at night time, if your blood sugar levels dip low, it can be a reason for waking. But we need magnesium for neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are those messengers that are needed in the nervous system. And magnesium is needed to help with neurotransmitter regulation and helps to keep the body calm. But it's also needed with melatonin production. Now, melatonin rises in the evening. It rises and helps to prepare us at bedtime. The pineal gland releases this hormone called melatonin, and we need more of it at night time. And I believe magnesium has a very important role in helping the body be prepared for sleep, helping the body unwind. We know it's nature's tranquilizer, helps to keep us calm, helps with melatonin production. And I often recommend for those that may be struggling with sleep and struggling to unwind at night time and get to sleep, supplementing magnesium is very, very helpful with that sleep cycle at night time. Now, blood pressure is another important factor for magnesium. Magnesium helps in the production of something called nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is important to help the blood vessels, the arteries stay relaxed and not become too constricted. And we know that nitric oxide has an important role to play in helping in blood pressure. So it's not the only factor, but it is an important factor, making sure there is sufficient magnesium to just help. And there are studies to show that when there are high levels of magnesium in the diet, whether it's through diet or supplementation, it can help in lowering blood pressure. And last but by no means least on my short talk tonight is around bone strength. You may or may not be aware of the importance of magnesiums in keeping bones strong and healthy. Far too much emphasis is on calcium. And yes, calcium is the predominant mineral in our bones, although 60% of magnesium is found in bones, but it's much less than what is in relation to calcium. However, what is important is this role of magnesium as a cofactor. So yes, calcium is the one that's needed predominantly in bones to keep bones strong, but we need to get the calcium into bones, and that's achieved with cofactors like magnesium. It's a very important cofactor, not just in helping to get calcium into bones, but in helping to keep calcium in bones and helping to keep bones strong. Now, how can we ensure we're getting enough? So I mentioned earlier on about stress and how magnesium is important in keeping us calm and helping us cope with stress. But you may not know that high levels of stress rapidly depletes levels of magnesium because it's used in so many functions to do with the stress cycle. So if you are experiencing a lot of stress, or you've had a lot of stress in your lives, you can become very quickly depleted in levels of stress and of magnesium. And it's why people who are going through stress may find these other symptoms start to creep up on themselves. You might experience more of those symptoms that I mentioned. So I talk a lot about finding ways to try and help with the stress reduction techniques, you know, the mindfulness, the yoga, the walking, the meditation, deep breathing. All of these things are so important to help lower the stress response, and in so many ways. But when we're thinking about magnesium, you know, we do need to try and lower our stress levels so that we're not depleting levels of magnesium that's needed in all these other processes in the body. Now, magnesium, absorption of magnesium from the gut into the bloodstream is important for, sorry, I'm getting my knickers in a twist tonight. We need stomach acid, sorry, to help the absorption of minerals to get from the gut into the bloodstream. And magnesium is important, just like we need good stomach acid to help the absorption of iron. We also need it for magnesium as well. And I do find that many people do not have enough stomach acid and may have other symptoms that are associated with poor digestion, which may be a sign of not having enough stomach acid. So when we are eating, we do need to think about eating mindfully, chewing our food well. Bitter foods like rocket can help with the helping to increase levels of gastric acid to help the absorption of magnesium from our foods. And alcohol and caffeine in coffee and fizzy drinks and tannin in tea, all of these things can hinder as well the absorption of magnesium from our food, getting from our gut and into our bloodstream. So be aware of all those things, the stress levels, stomach acid levels, and these other things that can hinder minerals being absorbed, like tannins and caffeine and alcohol. Now, food sources. So there are probably, there aren't loads of ways to get magnesium from our food, but there are some common sources that, in Western style diets, we may just not be getting enough of them in our diet. The best sources of magnesium are our dark green leafy vegetables, the broccoli, the kale, the cabbage, the Brussels sprouts, the collard greens, the rocket. These are our best sources. We should be trying to consume, two portions of these every single day, and we just don't get those enough in our diet. If we were to eat 2 portions a day, which is about, a cup size, American sort of cup sizes of these, we'd probably get about 150 milligrams. And 150 milligrams of magnesium is about 1/3 of our daily intake that we need. So, dark green leafy vegetables are our best sources to consume magnesium. So, think about ways that you can be actively getting magnesium in your diet every day from those. The next best sources are our nuts and seeds, especially almonds, cashews, and Brazil nuts. And a 25-gram serving of those will probably deliver about 75 milligrams of magnesium. Pumpkin seeds, you could get 100 milligrams in just 2 tablespoons, and flax seeds and chia seeds are other good sources as well. All nuts and seeds are going to contain some magnesium. So don't ignore all the others as well. I'm just highlighting the best sources for you. And other good sources are brown rice, never white rice. These refined grains have the husk is stripped from them and the magnesium is found in the husk. So you have to be consuming the whole grains to be getting the magnesium. So brown rice is a good source, fish, pulses, and avocados as well. You're going to get some magnesium from all of those as well. Best sources. Now, if you're thinking about supplementing, it is a safe mineral to supplement. It's always best to get some guidance from a professional nutritionist about this. In all my years in practice, I don't think I've ever come across a contraindication with medication. But if you're unsure, it's always best to ask. So I think magnesium is a very safe supplement. Magnesium citrate is the best form to take. And whilst, your daily intake of magnesium is sort of around about 375 milligrams, I often talk about 300 milligrams as a supplement. And as I said, it is a pretty safe supplement, but if you are unsure, do ask about this from a professional. And if you're in my group watching this, you can ask me if you're unsure anytime. Having Epsom salt baths can be another way. You may not get that much magnesium by soaking in Epsom salt baths, but you know, it is a way of getting some magnesium. It's very relaxing to have an Epsom salt bath. It is another form. Or the sprays, you can get magnesium sprays, which is a great way to kill two birds with one stone. If you've got aching muscles, and spraying on these magnesium sprays onto your skin, you know, it's a great way to relax muscles, but also to get some magnesium absorbed into your skin in that way. So thank you for watching. I hope you found some of that useful information. I always save this post, so if you want to watch it again, you'll be able to find it in my group. And remember that all my Facebook Lives are always uploaded during the week into my YouTube channel called Peyton Principles Natural Health. So you can always find this and all my other Facebook Lives. There's over 100 now in my YouTube channel. So thank you for watching. And please do let me know if there are other topics and themes that you would like me to talk about. I've talked about lots of things in my 100 videos, but you know, there's always ways that I talk about similar things, but I retweak it and share it again. So do let me know. I know when I was away, somebody mentioned a particular thing they wanted me to talk about in relation to female hormones and dim and cruciferous vegetables. So I am going to make sure I cover that. So whoever asked, I can't remember, but thank you. And again, any other topics you want me to talk about, do let me know. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch up with you next week on Tuesday. Take care. Have a good week. Bye.